What's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the King's Corner, where today we're going to be talking about two films, 2023 new release films. They're both available on Blu-ray right now. First, we're talking about the horror film Cobweb, which stars Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr and Woody Norman as the young boy Peter. This movie kind of slipped under the rug. Not many people are talking about it, but I feel like this is something that is going to become a cult classic. Um, very much how I felt about the film Watcher that came out last year. You have this film, which, to be honest, I think is a better film. I think this movie feels like a classic horror film. When you watch this, when I watched it, it feels like a classic horror film by the way it's shot, the very good cinematography, the acting, the score, and the screenplay. It's a story of a boy who's hearing knocking in his bedroom walls in the middle of the night. His parents try to tell him that it's nothing, but is it really nothing? Well, you gotta have to watch the movie to find out. And when you do find out what you find out, and the film continues to play on, I mean, it really kind of works on all ends in a way. I mean, the script and the way that things happen. It moves at a very good pace from the start of the movie to conversations that happen at the dinner table to things that start to happen in the second act and the third act of the film. It gives me vibes of like movies like Malignant, things like that. I mean, there's just so many vibes of other horror movies in this film, but it's done with, class. And I thought that the movie was extremely creepy. I thought that, the horror elements worked. And I really can't count any jump scares in this movie. If there were any, then it really worked for me, because it felt very genuine. Um, Creepy movie, creepy imagery, and this is one of those films that I wasn't able to see in the theater, was able to pick it up on Blu-ray, and it's one of those movies that's like good enough to keep in the collection other than, selling. I've been getting a lot of these movies like Asteroid City and just a lot of these new release films that I think are okay or average, but nothing that I want to like keep in my collection. Cobweb is actually probably one of my favorite movies of the year so far. This is something that's extremely rewatchable. The only thing that didn't work about it for me is the ending. It's a little too open-ended in a way that you don't get enough answers and what's going to happen moving forward, but it leaves you with a bit of an unsettling feeling, which I also enjoyed. So in the end of the day, Cobweb does exactly what it sets out to do, and is probably going to become a film that I'm going to be rewatching uh, each October Halloween season. This is that good, and I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it, and if you know get it on digital, buy the Blu-ray, support physical media, whatever the case may be. This is definitely a film to watch. Next and finally, we're going to be talking about Big George Foreman. This movie came out in April, I believe, came out just a few weeks after my son was born, so we weren't heading to the theater at that time, so I had to wait till the Blu-ray release. It's been sitting on the shelf for a little while. Finally, we watched it, and it's the story of George Foreman. When I think of George Foreman, I think of the George Foreman Grill. Uh, I didn't really think of George Foreman as a boxer or anything like this, or a preacher. You think of the grill. When you see this movie, you unwrap his life and what he was and what kind of person he was, and Forrest Whitaker kind of finding him, saying that he's a boxing teacher, and to kind of bring him into that world because he's got a lot of anger and uh, uh, violence in him in a way, so he's able to release it through boxing. He gets a little hot-headed, a little heavy-headed, um, and you just get to see that progression of his life and what happens to him and him as a preacher and all that sort of thing. And in the end of the day, look, Big George Foreman, is it a great film? No, I don't think it's a great film, but it's certainly not a bad film. This is a film that's like one of those biopics that is played extremely by the books. There's nothing special about this movie. I thought it was moderately entertaining. It's about 2 hours long, and it just kind of treads by. It just kind of jogs along. The movie doesn't sprint, and it doesn't, walk at a snail's pace. It just kind of has a very sort of basic jogging kind of pace to it. So, it is moderately entertaining. You kind of are interested. You do like the performances. The lead performance, for George Foreman, I thought was good. The boxing stuff I thought was all handled really well. And yeah, I mean, it's just very basic. You see its love life, things that happen with that, they he puts his money in the hands of the wrong person. It's things we've seen before, and just very basic. It's a very straightforward film that it's one of those ones on Blu-ray I was mentioning. It's going in the sell pile. I don't dislike it, but it's not something that I'm going to be like, yeah, let's rewatch Big George Foreman, especially if it's on Netflix right now. It's not a movie that I think I'm going to be popping in anytime soon or within the next few years. But it's not a bad film, but it is just very, like I said, straightforward, and it's like a 3 out of 5 star movie. So that's where I'm at with Big George Foreman. Do I recommend it? I'm not going to say don't watch it, and I'm not going to say watch it. I'm going to say if you want to watch it, you have interest in watching it, then go ahead. I don't think you're going to have a bad time, but I don't think you're going to have a great time either. So that's where I'm at with George Foreman, and that's where I'm at with these two films. So guys, comment down below. Did you see these movies? Did you see any of the newer release films? We're trying, with the 6-month-old, baby. You can't really take him to the movie theater anymore. He doesn't sleep as much, so he's very talkative. He's kind of has a lot to say, let come out of his mouth. So if there's nobody in there, we can go. But if there's a couple people, it's just not going to work. So we're waiting for digital Blu-ray for a lot of this stuff. So that's where we're at. So I do want to see a lot of these new release films. What have you guys been seeing? Leave that down below. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We just posted a brand new 4K and Blu-ray update video. We've got Ahsoka spoiler reviews up on the channel. We've got a weekly live show where I give away digital copy codes to the new release Blu-rays I get. And this show, our weekly review show. We didn't have one last week. But this week we do. We're coming back when we talk about the new Hulu horror film coming out, so that's exciting. A couple other things coming to Blu-ray: Insidious, The Red Door. Finally, be checking that out. Blu-ray's coming out Tuesday. So yeah, some stuff we'll be talking about next week, guys. You can follow me on Twitter or X, depending on what you want to call it, at RyanKing72, and Instagram and TikTok at KingArises131. That is about it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of the King's Corner, and until next time, over and out.